ये एक मंजिल है तो रास्ते भी होंगे और एक मेंटर भी जो मुश्किलों को आसान बना दे। नतीजे संयोग नहीं होते, दूसरों से बेहतर स्कोर होते हैं। GS Score, an institute for civil services.
Good career is a process, and mentoring at GS Score is driven by primarily two objectives. One is empowerment and another is excellence. This is what we are known for.
कामयाबी की राह पर 1000 से भी ज्यादा निशान। GS Score।
Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Vikram Joshi and I have secured All India rank 590 in the recently concluded UPSC Civil Services 2022, and I have managed to secure 111 marks in the General Studies 2 subject. So I am here to share with you my strategy that I followed for securing good marks in GS2. So I would also like to add a disclaimer here that since my option was Political Science International Relations, doing well in GS2 was much more easier for me compared to maybe someone whose optional is not political science. But this doesn't mean that only PSIR students do well in GS2. I would like to cover a few points which will help not just PSIR student but any non-PSIR aspirant as well in scoring triple digit marks in general studies too. So the first point that I would like to mention is please stick to the syllabus. There are 20 topics mentioned in the syllabus, and it is given in the UPSC notification itself. So just take a printout of that and stick it in front of the wall where you sit to study, and just go through this the syllabus regularly. This is very important for the new aspirants, where you might feel overwhelmed by the sheer number of coaching materials and various PDFs and handouts that are available on the market or on Telegram as well. So having clarity regarding the syllabus really helps in maneuvering through the subject. So now I would like to cover the GS2 strategy topic wise. So one of the key topics of GS2 is international relations, and there are 3 or 4 different subtopics under IR, right? So I would like to say that for IR, again, my optional definitely helped me, but something that I managed to do as a layman for GS2 was also that I realized that of late the kind of questions being asked in IR is getting more analytical. For example, this time they asked in 2023 mains as to how closer ties between NATO and USA affects India's foreign policy interests. So I feel that this is something which maybe a traditional method of preparation will not help you to answer such kind of questions. This is something that requires some analysis about the subject. For this, it is necessary to read the editorials of various experts like C. Raja Mohan sir or Mr. Harish Pant from Observer Research Foundation or Stanley Johnny. So these are the various thinkers who will really help to get a perspective upon the various issues going on in IR and not just cram up points. One more point for IR that I would like to cover is the importance of drawing diagrams. But also it is not feasible to draw diagrams in each and every kind of question. For instance, in the question that I mentioned, the ties between NATO and USA, it is not feasible to draw diagrams, right? So in this case, we can maybe draw some interactive figures like maybe a block diagram or something like a flow chart that will help to understand the examiner what you have written. Now, one more very important syllabus topic in GS2 is governance. So governance covers 3 or 4 different topics. So for governance, of course, there are some aspirants who say that they have studied the ARC reports as well as the reports of various civil services reforms committee as well. But I feel that even the various handouts that coaching institutes provide, that is good enough in case you want to get a hang of the governance subject. So I followed the PDF that was given by Manifest IAS. And also, in addition to that, I closely followed the previous year questions in governance. So previous year questions really help to understand some of the recurring areas. For example, this time e-governance was asked for 10 marks, and e-governance was asked at least 2 times in the last 5 years. So this really helps to get a grasp of the trend. And also it's necessary in governance questions to write examples on each and every point that you mentioned. So of course it's necessary to draw to write subheadings in general in mains answers, but also in few topics like governance, examples play a huge role. And one more area is the constitutional and statutory bodies. So usually in this aspect, candidates might have a lot of doubt in their mind as to which sources are necessary in order to cover these comprehensively. And one thing I would like to mention here is that there are very few such bodies that are in news every year. So bodies like National Commission for Scheduled Castes, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, for backward classes, and this time National Commission for Minorities was asked. So it's better to make comprehensive notes. In fact, I wouldn't even say comprehensive. I would just say that make crisp, short notes about the mandate of this body, about the history, when it was set up, whether it was there in the original constitution or not, and whether there have been any reforms or any amendments. For example, the Human Rights Amendments Act that took place in 2006 and 2019. That will help to understand the changing trajectory of the human rights regime in India. And also, it's necessary to list out few of the achievements and few of the failures or the shortcomings of these bodies and how they can be reformed in the foreseeable future. So, at some point, you will realize that the structure of most of these bodies is similar, and also the reforms that are suggested, they are also on similar lines. So, if even if you don't have, or if you're not able to memorize the points that you have written in the actual exam, you can still write generic points and in the exam, and even get average marks in those questions, even in the worst case scenario. And one more important aspect is social justice. So for social justice, one subtopic under that is schemes for vulnerable sections formulated by the government. So it's necessary to have data regarding certain vulnerable sections like persons with disabilities or manual scavengers or people of old age. And it's necessary to have certain data like their population and the sex ratio and whether they are mostly predominant in urban areas or rural areas, and a few schemes formulated by the government of India in the recent years. So this will really help to write further points, and not just in social justice, but in these points can help you in other areas as well, as to what recommendations or what suggestions can be made based on the current data or the current status of these vulnerable sections. And as I've already mentioned, but I feel that this is something that most candidates ignore. So I'd like to say it once again that the importance of previous year questions. So you will realize that previous year questions will help you to determine the kind of questions that might be asked in the coming years. For instance, the question on Representation of People's Act 1951 and the various criteria for disqualification of MPs and MLAs. This is something that has appeared in the exam at least 3 times in the last 5 years. And even recently it was there in the news. So, though this year it was not asked, it was asked last year. And I feel that again in 2024 or 25, it might once again be asked. So this is why I always emphasize that previous year questions are the only constant friend for any aspirant. So with this, I would like to conclude my strategy video for UPSC Civil Services GS2 paper, and I hope this has helped most of the aspirants to get a clear idea of this paper. Thank you.